say that 2020 was a weird year would be an understatement. When I left my office in mid-March, I never expected that I'd be working at home for almost half a year, that I'd spend so much time trying to navigate the insane whirlwind that were all the new restrictions being put in place so that my place of work could safely reopen, only to have our provincial government completely muck up our province to the point where case counts surged and everything closed again. Amidst all this, I played a fair amount of games, some of which were shiny and new. So, I thought I'd say good riddance to 2020 by making a list of my top 5 games of the year. These only include games that were released in 2020, not any old ones that I'd cleared out of my backlog. Coming in at number 5, we have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition. I was so excited for this game! I had never played it as a child. I got on the GameCube bandwagon way late. But I'd listened to the soundtrack extensively. Promised Grace is an amazing song. So I was really excited to finally be able to experience the thing that all these amazing tracks came from. I even convinced my sister and fiancé to download it and play with me, which was made considerably easier by the fact that there was a free version. Ultimately, I'm not quite sure that it was the game for me, and I never actually finished it. I'm not the best at action games in general. Don't let my fiancé hear me say that. And my grand plan to have my sister and fiancé play with me kind of fizzled out when my fiancé tried to play on mobile, and my sister ran away to the UK, so we couldn't play together anymore. I tried to go it solo for a bit, but it just wasn't the same as playing with a group. I didn't try the random online matchups too extensively, so maybe that would have helped to improve the experience. I did enjoy the gameplay loop of doing a dungeon and picking up a relic to up your stats though, and I like my little Clabbit, so maybe I'll return to it one day, play with some randos on the internet, and finish it up. At number 4, we have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. This was another game that I'd wanted to play for a long time, but had missed the boat on originally. Pokemon is cute, and naming Pokemon stupid things is my favorite. I promptly loaded up the game, got told I was an Eevee, picked Mudkip as my partner, named them after my fiancé and I, and Baron Turt's rescue team was born. I absolutely adore the art style that they went with for this remake. Everything is just so cute and watercolor and beautiful, and I had lots of fun just wandering around and going through dungeons, collecting a ridiculous number of soon-to-be hilariously named pals to join our crew. Pretty sure that they added the Pokemon hidden abilities to this version, and also they made it way easier than what I assumed the original would have been, because I had a Phanpy with a skill that made any food item heal 100% hunger, so we literally never went hungry. It was great. But that's fine. In the end, Mudkip, Eevee, and that Phanpy took down Rayquaza. What a legend. Next, we've got Persona 5 Royal. When this came out, I thought, will I spend another 100+ hours of my life replaying this adventure? Yes I will. Because Persona 5 is the most stylish, polished game I have ever played, and Persona 5 Royal only served to build upon this. I had been wanting to replay Persona 5 prior to this release, so it was perfect timing. I was aware that I was paying full price for a game I had already played on the same console for which it was originally released, but the new content that Royal introduced was integrated really well from the get-go, and there was quite a bit of it, so it really didn't feel like a cash grab. I enjoyed the new confidant links that they added, the changes that they made to Akechis, and the additions to battles and dungeons. I was way better at fusing this time around, and constantly had a good team of personas, so that was fun too. Plus, the quality of life improvements that were added made it easier to experience everyone's Link. Thanks for not making me sleep all the time, Morgana. Kasumi was a great addition to an already great cast, and I loved her design and character. I was a little disappointed that I could only actually use her in battle during the 3rd semester, even though she was so prevalent in the story up until that point. I get why it was necessary for plot reasons, but I still wanted more. In our number 2 spot, we've got 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I'd been low-key following this game for forever because it seems like it was in development for forever, and then its actual release totally snuck up on me and I was like, what? This thing's actually coming out? I wasn't sure exactly how I would feel about it because the battles were RTS and I have never really played RTS before. But the fact that it was Vanillaware, its heavy story focus, and its gorgeous visuals drew me in, and man am I glad that they did. I love time travel and non-linear storytelling in games, and this game cranks both of those things up to like 50. You've got characters from like 5 different time periods, nothing at all is told in order, the characters are constantly intersecting with each other, jumping around timelines, the story is twisting and turning and winding all over the place, and it's told really well. It's definitely not a simple narrative, it is complicated, but it sticks its landing and doesn't go off the rails. Everything ends up coming to a satisfying conclusion, and despite all the crazy plot threads that it's got going on and all the twists it throws at you, things still make sense at the end. The cast is all really well developed, and I enjoyed all of them. I will say this though, don't play this game if you don't enjoy watching cutscenes. There was like a full week where I legitimately played the game without really playing the game, in that I sat on the couch and clipped through cutscenes for like a full week of game time. This was partially my fault because the way the game is structured is such that after the prologue, the game allows you to choose if you want to view cutscenes in remembrance mode or do battle sequences in destruction mode, with some gates thrown in to block your progress from getting too far ahead in either mode. So I could have switched things up if I wanted to and played some battles, but in general there were far fewer battles than there were story scenes, and I would have liked there to be more of a balance between these two so that you could have more of an equal experience. Especially because the RTS sections were actually really fun and very accessible, because they're not really real RTS because they let you pause for your turn, so you can think about what you're doing, and I appreciate that. In any case, this is really a minor gripe in what is a fantastic game and a really, really well-told story. Also, this is Miura, and he would like everyone to know that he is not throwing away his shot. Alright, moving on. In my number 1 spot for the year, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. I did not think that there would ever be a day where I was putting an FF7 title on the top of a list. I played the original with my dad when I was young and was thoroughly saddened by a certain character's demise. And I've come back to it and its many spin-offs through the years, and while I've never considered it to be a bad game, it's never been one of my favorites and just something that I always felt was kind of overhyped. I didn't really connect with any of the characters, save, the one, and it just wasn't the experience for me that it seemed to be for a lot of other people. But holy heck, Remake changed all of that. I don't know if it's just because I'm older now and I have a different perspective, or if everyone is genuinely written better in this version, but suddenly I love all these characters that I never really cared about before. Cloud is still severely lacking in social skills, but now comes across as human in his awkwardness instead of robotically cold. You can see that he's an actual person who actually cares about things, he just kind of sucks at expressing himself, and it's endearing. Barrett is ridiculously committed to his cause and won't take any nonsense from anyone, but is also a giant dork. Tifa is earnest and conflicted and wonderful, and Aerith is as delightful as ever, and I love her to the ends of the earth. Everyone's interactions are so well written, they make you love them even more, and forget that this game takes place over the course of 3 days, because these guys legitimately feel like an established group of friends by the end. The game itself is also really fun. I feel like the team tried really hard to make it feel like a full FF7 experience, despite the fact that it's inherently not, as it only covers Midgar. They did things like including Barrett's famous "There ain't no getting off this train" we're online way earlier than in the original, giving us party switching segments, having basically a Cosmo Canyon theater scene, and giving you a Genova fight even though you shouldn't have one at this point. The music, while it's not as memorable as the original, incorporates familiar motifs into new songs well, and repurposes some old songs in new ways. The sad version of Tifa's theme that plays after the Sector 7 plate drops is just ridiculously wonderful and heartbreaking, and just such a great use of that track. This game is beautiful, and this freaking scene with Marlene always makes me cry. After the ending, I'm so interested to see how Part 2 will play out and how the story will evolve. Anyway, that's my top 5 lists of new games that I played in 2020. Here's hoping that 2021 brings lots of great things and just a better year overall. Happy New Year's, everyone! Hope you stay safe and healthy.